Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Here we are, Wednesday, 17th of June. Just about mid-month, a little bit past official mid-month, I suppose. Heading into the back half of June, unfortunately, good old Brian. Remember, I was warning you guys about April's, what was that? It was like April 3rd, 4th, 5th kind of thing. Remember we were doing that day after day, heading into that bottom. Where the hell's the bottom? Where? Oh boy, well, we got another one. It's been a while, actually, since we've had this sort of talk about into these celestial events. So here we are. And of course, once we get through this one, then we got the big one in November. Oh boy, get ready. As for specific market action today, today is the second day of the semi-annual Humphrey Hawkins testimony by Fed Chairman, in this case Powell, in front of the U.S. Congress. What the hell are you doing over there at the bank? Are you guys going to blow us up? So that's sort of the backdrop. And as long as he's sort of chit-chatting away, don't really expect a lot of movement in the market, but like kind of like what we saw after the wait a full hour after the Fed announcement. It took actually a couple hours, and then all hell broke loose to the downside. I wouldn't be surprised if once he's done talking, give the market a little bit of time to settle down, we'll start seeing some trend direction again. As well too, and probably most important here, considering this sickness, we're all watching. You can see one of our site members here is watching number of Texas COVID-19 new cases, and actually he's even got spreadsheets he's following this data print. So clearly we are in sort of, oh boy, second wave ramp up mode. What's gonna happen? Ironically enough, show me a new high and I'll show you a buy. Wait a minute, I don't want to buy COVID. Actually, it's funny. I put out a tweet a week or so ago saying there was two things I wanted to buy. I wanted to buy M2 money supply futures, and I wanted to buy COVID new hospitalization futures, and both of them, of course, have exploded. And there's no top in sight in my eyes. And really, the question ultimately is how bad does bad get here in the southern U.S. At the same time, too, we've got, of course, all these racial tensions still swirling around, and it's incredible listening to the politicians. Now, every single politician has to have a soundbite in their speech that has something to do with race right now. I personally don't like it when the politicians just grandstand and try to, hijack these movements for their political gain. That's a bit disappointing. But we'll see how it goes. I did hear about news about Mr. You-Know-Who was going to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma to try and do a big mass gathering rally. And not only is he sort of getting, state officials saying, hey, maybe that's not such a good idea, but we're also hearing, too, that the racial component of this could actually make this turn really ugly very quickly because, of course, whose voter base is very right-wing. So let's hope that doesn't deteriorate. So we've got some things that are in the hopper here. And unfortunately now, once the Fed is sort of finished talking, then the money manager people, the bankers and all that, they're done. They've shot their wad. Now all we got coming up in front of us is second quarter earnings season. And oh, by the way, June 30th is also the tax loss selling deadline for a lot of the world. So anybody who's motivated to sell stock into that tax selling deadline for like Australia, for example, they've got a selling window now to work with over the next couple of weeks. So put it all together, fun. Our conversation here, generally speaking, it doesn't change day in, day out. And almost everything that I said yesterday is basically the same as today. In that, U.S. dollar index still enjoying its rally off of that spike low, and of course, as it's up, that means risk on is. So we'll see whether this AB equals CDs its way higher here. New cases, Fed talk, all that kind of stuff. Tons of uncertainty out there. Also want to watch the risk on proxies. I noticed that, we said, really you could argue both oil and stocks are in shorting locations. We have indicator confirmation on things like the stock market. We're just waiting for some sort of structure, and gee whiz, look what's happening here today. Spent a lot of time in the video today talking about inside bars, and so now actually we have a nice little sell level setting up. If we finish the day here, beep, and then tomorrow we open up and we tick through that low. Look out. And interesting too, that's also there in the oil market as well. We were doing the daily brief through things like EIA this morning, so I didn't actually see what the numbers were. But it might be interesting just to pop on over and see if we had builds or drawdowns. So crude inventories, we've got distillates. Looks like they came in lower. Crude stocks down. Interesting. That's Cushing. So EIA crude oil stocks change actually up 1.2 million barrels. Gasoline, now, with the opening up of the economy, that's probably the number that we want to watch closely. Do drivers actually get out there and start driving again? But on balance, it doesn't look like it's an earth-shattering move, and I suppose the main headline number here is going to show a slight build. And interesting to see, previous, of course, through crisis, all that kind of talk, we were building huge inventories. It looks like the market was actually kind of hoping for a drawdown. And we actually had a little bit of a build. So on balance, that's not really a very bullish report. And just to get an idea of what sort of the trend is, you can see, inventories were building. Into early May, we drew down. Inventories building back up again. So you can see that there's sort of like a wedge that's developing here. If you see inventories cranking back up above that 7.9, then the bear is back in control. If you see the market down below 4.9, then it means that supply is getting used up. And obviously there's some demand in the economy. So we'll see how that goes. Only time will tell. Okay, so there are the risk on proxies just sitting there, and like I even said to people on the site, pro traders they're gonna go in there and they're gonna short that reload zone. They're gonna risk against new highs. Let's see what happens. The more conservative people would probably be waiting for big fat M's and all that kind of stuff. And gee whiz, what a surprise. We're seeing inside bar reversals. Well, not actual, we have potential reversals, let's call it that. On the bonds, right? They broke down off of an inside bar fail there 2 or 3 days ago. Now they're trying to stabilize. And of course, if stocks top out, that probably will support the bond bottom. And of course, our gold, hurry up and do nothing. Another sideways day, stuck between 1666.20 and 1750 to the upside, and we're just range bound. And the whole metals market, in my opinion, kind of looks very rangy right now. Heading on over to, very sort of sensitive indicators in the risk market, things like the Russell 2000 versus the Dow. You can see how we were trying to, kind of like how we did here, rally right back up, and you can even draw a new trend line here. Right, there to there. So in a very similar fashion, you can see market likes to do this on a pretty regular basis. That one was a bit more. I don't know if I would use that. Well, even if we just went off of that, right? So rallied up to trend line on this one, consolidate, breakthrough, I'm a bull. So here we are, rally back up to trend line, consolidate a bit. Remember, Fed talking, blah, blah, blah. Mr. Powell comes out and says, hey, you know what? Everything's totally awesome. Go out and have fun. Spend money. This thing's probably going to crank up through this trend line, and here we go back on the bull again. But as it stands right now, actually, this is what we would call a Wyckoff check. Geez, we're seeing tons of these Wyckoff checks all over the market right now. So all we did was we M'd out, we rallied right back up into the original failure, and then we rolled over again. So, I'm trying to slow myself down. I'm trying to temper my enthusiasm in the market, but gee whiz, there's so many cute little stocks out there. So, here's a name, Westel. I think I told the public this, but this is such a great analogy where you could just watch the order book, and they had stacked up just a monstrous offer at 83 cents here, trying to keep this stock range bound for a while. They had some sort of plan. And the market just kept bumping up against that 83 and chewing through the wall, chewing through the wall, chewing through the wall, chewing through the wall. Then they busted through the wall, and as soon as that wall fell, right, you knew all hell could break loose, and sure enough, kapow. So really good example of structural DOM signal there. And also, too, nice little inverted head and shoulders. This was also a bot setup, and it actually hit the bot setup objectives this morning. But I'm going to be a little greedy here. What do you think, guys? Has this got any room to move up here at all? Could I potentially see $2-3 a share? Sure, why not? I'm going to let some go here at the 52-week 50% rule. So that would take us back into last spring, right? So there's May high there. So I've got orders working to let some go here up in the 120 on 30 area, right against this traffic area. But on balance, gee whiz, that's a good looking stock. They got earnings coming out tonight. So, we might see this as buy the rumor, anticipating the earnings are half decent, and the earnings come out and they're horrible, and they bring this thing right back down to the bottom. We'll see how it goes. But on balance, I'm in from a really great level. I actually have a pretty good cushion here. So, as I say with everybody, wish me luck. You know where I'm going to be, this won't be a banging out double. This will just be banging out a pretty damn solid win. But you'll know where I'll be on the offer tomorrow if the news is half decent. So we'll see what happens. Don't chase. Do not pay over $1 for this, please. Remember, the buy signal was down in the low 80s. Looking at the corn, nothing really surprising here. Basic message to site members, still stuck in the bow tie, and until this thing resolves, we're probably not doing a hell of a lot. We might see a big-ass spike here over the next little while. You can see volatility bands getting wide. There might be some wild price action in here. My hunch, for whatever it's worth, and remember, opinions are only that, my hunch is we're rolling over and we're heading lower. But that's just an opinion. I could very easily see, especially if the stock market goes haywire to the upside, Powell says something like, hey, everything's hunky-dory. I could see a substantial rally up top here. I've got some puts on the books that we bought up here. I'm in no hurry to touch any of them, and I don't really want to, even if we do get these spikes up here, because I got enough long crypto exposure that, it's fine if I just sit on those insurance policies and do nothing. Having said that, probably I'll look to liquidate them if I start actually seeing momentum and volume indications suggesting that we are comfortably above, say, 10,000, what's this high here? 10,429, let's call it 10,500. I'd probably take the puts off just to preserve capital. But at the same time, too, I have no sort of big bullish expectations here right now. And when I look across the board on all three of sort of the big boys, they're all basically painting the same message. I don't like the fact that this tail here is on all of them, and I wouldn't be surprised if that tail has to be eaten to a certain degree here over the short term. So that's sort of what I'm expecting out of all three of the big boys. There's really nothing for me to do here. And, as I had sort of shown in the little deck here, I really, really like these sort of altcoins that are putting in weekly Ws. I was actually quite surprised to see my little BRD keeps getting bid up higher here, so looking very strong. And I put a tweet out earlier today. I mean, what letter of the alphabet do you see here, people? You know, I love weekly W's. I mean, they make me so happy. So, specifically, Sis has a really, really good looking weekly W trying to come in here. These ones might be a little bit early. But actually, well, that one's, yeah, it's a bit early. But what I do like is the basic message that, you know, maybe Bitcoin's coming off, but you can see these altcoins are actually rallying as Bitcoin's coming off here a bit. So in dollar terms, actually, these names look pretty darn good. And I just keep seeing this over and over and over in the altcoin market. So, you know, you've heard my message of late, you know, weekly W's, all that kind of talk. I don't think anything's changed here, and message exactly the same. This is like our future. You want to buy Lambos? Well, you got to be able to step in off the bottom, and when we start rallying up top, that's when you get paid, and you take your money down to the Lamborghini dealership, and you buy your Lamborghini. It's that simple, folks. Let's see if you can do it now. All right. Why don't you have yourselves a great day, everybody? Hope you enjoyed the offering. All the best. And the only thing left for good old Brian to say at this point is bye for now.